good morning to my brother from another. Hi, Neil Hodgson.
Are we live?
We're live. We are live.
How are you?
Are you all right?
I am so good. I've got
Are
a bit
you?
of a hangover, but
What?
small one. Barbecue last night with Vic's mum and dad, so
Okay, so you had 2 pints.
I had 5 full cans. I didn't pour any away this time. So yeah, little bit of a headache, but in general, not bad.
Did you manage to remain in the sweet spot throughout the 5 cans?
You know me so well. There are different levels of drunk for me. Usually, the first can I get straight into the sweet spot, as you know.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to remain there, but sometimes I can. Obviously, sometimes I get in the sweet spot and then I drop off a cliff, and it's like, oh no, Neil needs to go to bed. But not sweet spot all night long. Happy go lucky Neil.
What's weird about you is sometimes I look at you and I think you really need to go to bed. And then 3 hours later, you're still going and in the same state. You sort of get into that state where it's 50-50 and then you can stay there. It's bizarre.
I know. And you're always going, Neil, let's go to bed. Why?
I'm not.
Like,
oh,
look,
so
Suzi, I'm having a good night with my mates here. And you're like, come on, let's get back, but... Hey, right, speechless. There we go.
Just stop it. Stop it. That's quicker than John McGuinness yesterday. That's some
right.
Hey, John McGuinness was on yesterday.
Yeah, go on.
It was absolutely brilliant. He's brilliant.
Is, isn't it?
He tried to keep it was semi-clean. Semi. And yeah, let's not go there. And he said that he was at a stag do with you when you went round the Isle of Man to every pub.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
And you nicked a record player, or you tried to nick a record player. What's that about?
Yeah, what happened was we got about a third of the way around the TT course, and the idea was pint in every pub. So it was, obviously you know me so well. So by the third pub, I'm like, I'm in trouble. There's no way I'm going to be able to drink another 10 pints. So I thought, I'll go on shorts. I'll go on vodka and Coke, something easy to drink. Anyway, by the time we got to Kirkmichael, we went into the pub there, and it was like 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. It was dead, right? So 10 blokes walking, or there were 15 blokes. We weren't rude, and they were quite off with us, and it annoyed me. And I'm like, I can't believe that. So we decided we were going to take a souvenir from that pub. So we did. I did. And we got back on the coach, and I went, "Wait, you've got a souvenir." So the plan was then, every pub we went into was to take a small souvenir. But I just got carried away. So by the time we got to Ginger Hall, they had this old record player, and I thought, But by then I'm leathered, obviously. So I think, I'll have that. I was going to take it back eventually. Anyway, so I got it under my arm, and I got to the door, and the guy who owned the pub put his hand on my shoulder, and he went, "Where are you going with that, Neil?" And I went, I've got one just like this. I was going to show it to John, totally rumbled. It's so embarrassing. But hey, that is the best stag do I've ever been on. As you can imagine how much fun it was. But imagine the state we're in by the time we got into Douglas. And we went out that night round Douglas, but we've been drinking since 11 o'clock in the morning. And
do you know that record player? Did it have the whole big speaker and everything?
Yeah, it was one of them. It looked so cool. I'm like, I'll have that. What an idiot.
I just can't imagine you doing that. I honestly can't.
No, but we were so leathered. Do you know, at one point, I can't think which pub we were in, there was a pool table there, and John's brother stuck his private parts over a pocket with his balls hanging down, and then he's going like this, honestly, right, hit the ball as hard as you want. And we're like going, don't be stupid. And he's like, no, honestly, it didn't bother me. And he stood there like that, and it was all in. So then they whacked the ball into his balls, and obviously then he hits the floor, and it's like, Well, it started with, he put his hand over the pocket, then he put his head over the pocket, then he put his balls over the pocket. As you do. I weren't playing any part of that. Oh. Hey, good
were you scared of going in off?
Well, I'm going to say it was a cold day. So, yeah.
Oh, God. Hey, this isn't a way to start Friday. What are you doing? It's so rude.
No, I'm not.
Ladies
I'm not I
and
apologise.
gentlemen.
Yeah, I apologise if
No,
I offend anyone.
You and me, we're the only ones that have had compliance at BT Sport on us.
How funny is that?
Well, I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Explain the compliance thing to people.
Well, compliance in television, if you say anything that people could be offended by, you know, they have a word with you. And often they only have a word with you if someone's complained. But you never really know if anyone has actually complained or if someone's just been a bit, like, you know, that day.
Yeah.
So Neil, this is before I joined BT, Neil had a complaint against him because he'd sort of, say what you said.
Yeah, it would. You know what? It was an absolute nightmare. I've been going out with my girlfriend Victoria for probably about a year. Well, I've been going out with her for less than a year. Then I got the BT Sport job. She didn't know anything about racing really, so I'm away traveling all the time. But she's not into bikes. She doesn't watch bikes, so she doesn't watch me on TV. Obviously, she'd seen me on TV, you know, like once or twice. And one of her really good friends came round to the house and she was asking about me. And she went, "Oh, actually, it'll be on TV now because I've just spoke to him."
Bigging you up?
Bigging me up. Like, oh, he's in Australia. And actually, you know, like, and you'll be able to see him. So she put it on and I was doing a grid walk and I was speaking to Bradley Smith. And I've no idea why I said it. I've never said anything like it. But I was talking to Bradley Smith and I looked at his brolly girl and thought, wow, look how attractive she is. What an attractive girl. So when I finished talking to him, I went something like, "Oh, your headphones look cool. Oh, and I've got to say, you've got the best looking brolly girl I've seen all year." Anyway, my girlfriend was watching that with her friend and I just looked like a dirty old perv. So I was in trouble. That was one of them. The actual line she said, and I felt so embarrassed, but she went, "Oh, I just feel like you're mugging." Like, we've got, you know, our relationship's strong, but we were early days, and she went, "Oh, I just feel like you're mugging me off a bit." And I felt so hurt because I didn't want to, and that was the last thing. But anyway, that was that. So I'm in trouble anyway at home, which no one wants to be. And then we get to the end of year meeting, didn't we? Where we all, oh no, it was the start of year meeting for the following year, and compliance stands up and says, "Well, there's only been, well, actually, there's only been like one complaint. That was that year. You was the year after, I think, wasn't you?" Anyway, and they went, "Yeah. It's Neil, it's you." Bear in mind, you're in a room with like 40 people, loads of people you don't know that work for BT.
And so let's be honest about this. Most people think that the complaint's going to be about something Keith said.
Exactly, because Keith's always like close to the edge. But it's like being at school. So when the lady went, "Oh, we only had one complaint, Neil," you know, and like everybody in the room just goes like that. I go bright red, you know. I'm like, shit. And she went, "Oh yeah, a comment, like a rude, like vulgar comment you made about a brolly girl on the grid." I thought, oh my god, the complaints obviously come from Victoria, my girlfriend. I was like, oh, I thought, like, bloody comment. I'm never going to comment on another brolly girl ever again.
That's the problem with live telly. Sometimes, you know, you're looking around and you say things and you think, oh, you know, I don't know who I had this conversation with the other day, but I was talking about when Lewis Hamilton won the Formula One World Championship, and I was on BBC One, and there was 6, 7, 8 million people watching. I can't even remember how many people were watching. And, you know, and I'm talking and I'm saying what I'm seeing, as you do when you broadcast, you're painting the scene of the things that people can't see on the camera. And at the time, we was going out with Nicole Scherzinger. I never say her name right. And she, you know, she's sort of running up to it.
She's rough, isn't she?
Yeah. Compliance. Compliance.
Yeah, oh no, Vic's listening, I'm mugging her off.
It's things like that. It's just when you know, like a little bit of sense of humour. And she's running up and I said, "Oh, and here comes Nicole, kissing Lewis's helmet." and then she was. But, you know, obviously, everybody around me was just creasing up laughing because I didn't realise what I'd said until I looked at them and I thought, oh, shit.
Oh my
and then you want to say, oh, shit on it.
Yeah.
And it's just this whole thing. I got a thing from compliance because it was about you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it involved me, didn't it?
Yeah, because Neil was running somewhere, and Neil runs like me a little bit because you sort of have a bit of a floaty arm, don't you?
Yeah, and I flick my legs flick up.
Yeah.
I run like a girl.
Right. So I said, and I don't even know if I said, here comes Neil running like a girl or running like me. It might have even been aimed at me. And I got someone complaining, and I just thought, I'm taking the rise out of myself. Anyway, that's compliance. So me and Neil still writing lines in detention at BT Sport for that one. And there you go. For anybody that doesn't know, by the way, this is Neil Hodgson, World Superbike Champion, BT Sport pundit, and Grand Prix racer.
That's a dab. Kids do that. Well, they don't anymore, but like my son, if he was watching now, he does not like me at all. No, he doesn't like me. I am the ultimate cringe. I was saying yesterday, I was talking to my son, and I was on about Dickie, who I work with, and I went, oh, honestly, he's sound. And my son goes, oh my God, Dad, do not say that. I went, what? He went, don't say sound, that's so cringe. I'm like, all right. I'd always say, like, someone's sound, oh, don't say it. He got all angry at me. So just so you know, don't say sound, because that's really uncool.
I don't know. I've never known what's cool and uncool. I've never been cool. And sometimes even the Geordie Lodger is shaking his head. How very dare you? I don't care. I don't need to be cool, because cool's in and cool's out then, isn't it? But you, not that I've ever been in, but you don't know what people think of you, because sometimes on these socials I'll get, I can't believe Suzi Perry's just said, and it's a phrase, you know, that I just say, and apparently it's like the thing to say or not the thing to say, and I just never know. But you can't go around thinking like that, can you? Otherwise you wouldn't speak.
No. Well, the problem is with social media is you end up hearing from the people that don't like you a lot of the time, because that's social media. People will just go on and go, oh, I think you're a dick. You know what I mean, man? You're like, oh, cheers. I don't even know who you are, by the way, but hey, thanks for the positive comment today. You know, but that's social media. We've had this conversation loads of times. What we want, we've said this, haven't we, Suzi? We want honest social media day, where you could just go, do you know what? Oh, God's down. I'm just gonna, let's all be honest on social media then, because you know people are so rude. People are lovely, by the way, as well, but you can get like a majority of people that are rude, and it'd be so nice to be honest back, wouldn't it? And
well, it would, if you could just answer really honestly, because you know, obviously you have to cut people some slack sometimes, because you don't know what frame of mind they're in, you don't know like how they are, and you know, so I tend to not answer anything that's mean, and if it's vile I will just block somebody, because I don't have to see that. I don't need to see that.
Is that why you block me?
Yeah, well, here's an example. I blocked somebody on here the other day, and this is a force for good for social media. I think, you know, what we've been able to do on social media here has been fantastic. Every day we get beautiful messages from people that are just loving it, that just get up and watch this. Have even switched the telly off to watch this, because they love the crack, they love the banter and everything. And you know, and it's all good. But occasionally you'll get some dickhead on here that keeps on asking a question, or is rude, or I think there's one today, because I can see the Geordie Lodger trying to, you know, and you have to block them. And I obviously block someone, and I block people if they're completely perverted, because I'm not interested. And he came on Twitter and said, why did you block me on Instagram? And I wanted to say, well, probably because you're a pervert. But I didn't answer, and that's a classic example of just trying to ignore, really.
Yeah.
But it is a double-edged sword, because, you know, there are lots of good things, and it is being used in a good way. But there's also a lot of shit as well. And I found that Instagram has always been a lot more friendly, because it's picture-based than say Twitter, for example. But now I'm feeling like it's being infiltrated by a few knobheads.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that? I'm not sure. You have to ask me.
That's what it's funny. You say, are you allowed to say that? I've, as you know, me and Gav have been doing our podcast, Gas It Out.
Yeah.
And it's been so refreshing, because that's like honest Twitter. What it's like, actually, I can be 100% myself. And don't get me wrong, a percentage of people won't like the really honest me, because I swear too much, or I'm really opinionated. You know that, Suzi, better than anyone.
That's why you're brilliant on telly. Not the swearing, but the opinionated thing.
Exactly, but like on TV, you have to rein it in a certain percent, as you know, whatever percentage that is, 15, 20%. On the Gas It Out podcast, it's like, no, well, that's what I reckon, and it's our podcast, and We can say, if I think someone's a knob, I'll go, yeah, well, he's a bit of a knob, isn't he? Let's be honest. No point, you know. Well, obviously on BT Sport, you'd be like, oh, have you ever had to apologise for your own language? Because I'm always apologising for everybody else's.
With the gaffer tape. Exactly. We've all been doing it for such a long time now that, you know, everybody knows. And obviously Gavin and I have been at it for over 20 years, and you've been going for, what have you been doing for 7 or 8 years now?
7 years, yeah.
So, you know, that's it. You're professional. Are you there?
Yeah.
I've got some questions for you.
All right.
And let's start first. Let's just update first. Let's do some MotoGP updates. So, as things currently stand at the moment, we are expecting to start in July in Jerez on the 19th with a follow-on race on the 26th. We'll be broadcasting from BT HQ. We're not quite sure how it's all going to work with connections in the paddock. This could change, by the way, completely. But there's been news sort of dripping along the last few weeks. You know, Valentino Rossi spoke to us. He's speaking to us this weekend in the Greatest Years. And obviously we've kind of put some of the stuff out on social media this week leading up until that. Do you think he will sign again for 2021?
Yes, definitely.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Based on what?
You are?
Based on what?
Why do I think he'll continue? I think, obviously, with what's happened this year, he's needed to have another season under his belt. You know, basically, he's 100% fit. He still thinks he can win. He wants to challenge himself. So he's going to do however many races this year. But I'll probably say I'm 90% confident he'll continue. The only reason he won't, maybe, is if, let's say, this season goes to crap. But I don't think it will. I think he'll be top 5 again. I don't think he'll win. I don't think he'll win a race, which I want him to. It's like we all wanted one more championship, didn't we? And now we're all going, we just want to be there and let's enjoy another win from him. But I can't see it. I just think the ship has sailed. People hate me for saying it. That doesn't mean I hate Rossi, love Marquez. It's just, that is my opinion. I think to be the absolute best, which he was for 9 years in 9 championships, it's so difficult. And unfortunately, as you get, I always say there's a reason there's not more 40-year-olds racing in MotoGP. Yeah. You know, there is a reason. End of. You don't get bored of racing. It's just like you lose whatever that is, and it's only that 1%. But that 1%'s the difference between winning and not. But he'll continue.
Okay, that'll be really interesting to see that. The other massive news that I think we're all excited about is Jack Miller to the factory Ducati team 2021.
Yeah, I've got real mixed feelings because you know how much we all love Jack, but we love Danilo sort of equally. As far as the good guys in the paddock, we're talking about probably my 2 favourite riders. So as an ex-rider who lost rides in factory teams, I really feel for Danilo because for me he's done nothing wrong. No. You know, I'm happy for Jack, but I'd have been happy for Jack to do another year in Pramac. I just feel like Danilo's worked so hard that he deserved another shot at it. He finished 6th in the world, didn't he? You know, he finished 6th in the world, won a Grand Prix.
Yeah. Was it the end of last year? Was it the second half of the year that kind of... Yeah. You want the second half of the year to be good, don't you? Because that's what people remember when contracts are being done. And unfortunately for Danilo, it was the other way around, wasn't it? Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And Jack's last 3 races were amazing. You know, he had, I know he had certainly 2 podiums. He had a podium in Malaysia and at the last round. So, yeah, I get all that side of it. It's just, I just feel so sorry. My argument is always this. There is a reason we have a championship. Because at the end of the year, there is no argument. We did 19 rounds, and each round you get a certain amount of, there's a tally. And that'll tell you exactly where you finished overall. And Petrucci's always beaten Jack Miller in the championship. Petrucci finished 6th in the world. It's like, well, surely he deserves another year. That's just me. You know what I mean? That's my opinion. But
yeah.
But like I say, I love Jack, and I'm well happy for Jack as well. On the other hand, so.
But can I just throw something in here? Is it 100% that Danilo's not going to keep his ride? Because we don't actually know what Andrea Dovizioso is going to do in 2021 yet, do we?
No, you're right. Yeah. So there is a potential, and that he could stay there. What they're doing at the moment, they're playing hardball with Dovi, aren't they?
Yeah.
Ducati, they're funny sometimes, and I just think, like, Dovi has finished second in the world 3 times, and he's finished second behind bloody Marc Marquez.
Mm.
You know, and what I think of Marc.
Well, there's only one man beaten Marc Marquez since he's come up to the Premier class, and that's Jorge Lorenzo. Exactly,
in a championship. So I mean, we're talking about Marquez is phenomenal. Everybody knows that. Like him or not, the boy can win championships. He can ride a bike. So Dovi's done his job. Dovi's done the best he can possibly do, and that's finishing second. It's that best of the rest. It's so where I'm going with that is he deserves. I talk about stock value a lot, don't I, when I commentate? Yeah. Dovi's stock value's really high, and he deserves to be paid accordingly. And I think it sounds like there's Ducati are trying to, and Ducati have been hard on Dovi over the years, because what they've done is, like when Lorenzo came in when he came in, Lorenzo got paid 3 times the amount what Dovi got paid. You could argue, well, yeah, but Lorenzo's obviously a MotoGP world champion. He's deserved that. But I always feel like Dovi gets taken advantage of a little bit.
It's in a really difficult situation, because he can't really go anywhere else, or can he?
Well, yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Where can he go? Well, you go, well, Aprilia would have him, but would he want to go to Aprilia? Well, no. Exactly.
Why would he want to go there?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, because he doesn't need the money anyway. You know, let's say, you know, Aprilia could offer him double what Ducati are paying him, but Dovi's been in Grand Prix racing since 2003, I think. You know, like he's always been right at the sharp end. He's a multimillionaire. So if I was his manager, I'd be like, no, we don't want to go. Let's not go to Aprilia. Let's obviously take less and stay at Ducati and have a chance at winning. Yeah. But there's no, after that, where else would he go? KTM, well,
exactly. In order to win the championship, there are no seats, are there, anywhere else?
No. And when you've been doing it as long as Dovi, he isn't thinking about paydays. Like I said, he's loaded anyway, you know, in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it?
It is. It's interesting. I wouldn't actually, weirdly, I love Andrea Dovizioso. I wouldn't want to be him right now. I wouldn't want to be his management either, because they've got no sort of ballast in their in their contract negotiations, have they? And it's interesting hearing you say, like, he doesn't need the money. He doesn't, and he's a cool character and he's lovely. But there are some riders that still hang out for money, even though they are, you know, multimillionaires. So it's all different characters, isn't it? I think. Hang on a second. Let me just speak to. Have we got a problem with our 4G? Okay. I wanted to make sure we didn't drop out, because we've had some tech issues. So, so it's, you know, it's sort of strange time, and it's strange that we're even talking about it, because we haven't even had a 2020 season, but this is what we got, isn't it, at the moment?
You what? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying it's strange, really, isn't it, that we're sort of talking about silly season, because we haven't got any racing. We have got a virtual Grand Prix on Sunday, where I think Jorge is wildcarding at the virtual British Grand Prix. Do you watch those?
I can't get my head around it. I don't even want to talk about it. It winds me up. It sounds rude, doesn't it? That it's just like I'm not watching people playing video games. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I'm 46 years old now. Like, my lad's 12. He'd watch that, you know. I can't get excited about it. Sorry for being like, you know what I mean? It's just like, and I bet you feel the same, because I know what you're like.
Well, here's the thing, right? I totally get it. It's massive. It's globally, it's massive. And obviously doing the Gadget Show, I went to different places around the world and I watched hundreds of thousands of people playing. It's not my bag. But if we've got one on in the commentary booth, after hours when we're writing notes, prepping, we all end up watching it because it can be quite exciting watching, you know, stuff on track because it looks so real. But obviously, it's not racing. He's not. All right, okay.
But
what about
okay.
what happened? Did you hear about what happened in Formula E, where
No.
the lad that drives for Audi, was it Audi? I think it's Audi. Somebody will correct me. Daniel Abt, anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was. He basically is he's a nice lad. He's won races for them, and he did the virtual race, the stay-at-home Grand Prix, it's called, in Berlin. It would have been his home Grand Prix, which he's physically actually won for them before. And because it was all a bit shambolic, these stay-at-home races, you know, he just sort of thought it was a bit of a laugh, and he got a professional sim racer to race instead of him. And he said that, you know, afterwards they were going to, you know, say what had happened and tell the story and everything. And it even talked about it openly online with people listening in. But obviously, you know, people thought it was trickery, and his factory thought it was trickery, and they fired him.
No way.
From his physical drive for, you know, but it's because it reflected badly on the factory. So sort of two ways of looking at it.
But that's something I would have done. Because you'd have got, I'll tell you what would be funny. How funny is this going to be? Let's get this guy in who's brilliant. He could race for me. It'd be a laugh. You're not going to then take credit for it afterwards and go, oh, you know. You know what I mean? That is the sort of thing I'd do. So, yeah, look, I'm all for it. Okay, if they want to play these games, right? But what I want them to do is, and I genuinely mean this on the bike racing one, I want them, when they're doing it, they should be sat in helmets, leathers, boots and gloves. It should be in a hot room. And also, if they crash, I want someone behind them with a bit 3x2 smashing them over the head. Because then I'd watch. Then you'd be like, oh, he's in the gravel. Actually, I want the job. I want to be 3x2 man, going like that. You know. Then you'd be like, oh, this is quite exciting, isn't it? Because that hurt him. You can tell. What do you reckon? There's a future for that.
I think it's got legs. You know, I think it's like a modern day It's a Knockout, maybe. You know what? We've just. What are you doing with that? Oh, God.
Thing is, you always need a hammer near you. You never know in life. You know, if what is that weird?
Well, it's a bit weird, but I'm sort of I have had my moments in my life where I've had a hammer. Anyway, that's another story. So that reminded me of the story you once told me, which had me in stitches on air, and I actually was sort of snotting on air as well. You know, when you laugh so hard. Sorry, it's Friday, and I was uncontrollable about when you were. I think you might have been. Don't know if you were testing in Shah Alam, or could you tell that story about weird things? Yeah. Yeah,
it's a true story, right? Because what we were talking about, was there a snake on the track or something? And you went,
so.
You were like, have you ever like seen anything like that when you're riding? And I went, yeah. I was at Shah Alam, which is like the track they used to use in Malaysia before we went to Sepang. And Shah Alam was rough around the edges. It was really tatty. Like the garages were tatty. It was quite a small circuit. But the back straight went like down past a lot of like a thick wood. And we were there. I wasn't testing. Oh no, I was testing. I was testing for Kawasaki. So it was 1998, and there was only me and Akira Yanigawa riding around the track. So when there's only like two of you testing, sometimes that's when there's like birds on the track, like in Phillip Island or whatever, because obviously the track's quiet. But anyway, so there's me and Akira Yanigawa, and it was after lunch. We'd had a lunch, so we'd stop for an hour. Anyway, fire the bike up, I go out, and I'm on my out lap, and I come round out of the corner of this quite a tight corner onto this back straight, and I promise this family of monkeys ran across right in front of me. But it was like a joke. It was like off a cartoon, because Big Daddy Monkey was at the front. Second like down was Mummy Monkey. Then the kids went down, and there was probably about 5 of them, so 3 kids. But I was instantly scared, because I've always been a bit of a coward. And I'm like, oh my God. So then for the rest of the test, I kept thinking, I don't want to crash on this corner coming onto the straight, because you sort of slide into the wood. And I thought, imagine getting eaten alive or attacked by some monkeys because you'd like injured one of the baby monkeys. You know what it's like. So then my lap time they'd look at my data, they'd go, you're really slow out of that corner. I'm going, there's fucking monkeys there. But the big monkey, like the lead one, I don't know if that was the male or female, actually, because I don't know much about monkeys. But the male one looked hard. You just know,
was
though,
he wearing steel-toe boots or something?
He didn't need to. He just had that look. He looked at me, and instantly between us, you know, when you know what it's like when you're growing up at school, and you've been cheeky to someone, and they look at you, a lad, and you think, yeah, I've definitely overstepped the mark, and he's going to batter me. Well, the monkey looked at me like that, and we for that split second, we knew, it was like, you're the boss. Even though I got my kit on.
Had he got a hammer?
I didn't have my hammer with me. But I was also worried. This also went through my mind, because this is how my weird mind works. I'm like, I'm wearing green. It's all that wooded area. If I slide in, they might never find me. That as well. So, hey, I've been known over the years to have a good book of excuses of why I was slow at certain races, but that's not a bad one, is it?
Well, it's quite long-winded, but it's a good one. It is a good one. Long-winded.
You do know my middle name. How many times do you say, does this story have an end? Is there any point in this story when we're like in the hire car talking, me, you and Gav?
So, sometimes Neil tells one story on a 30-minute journey, and it depends what kind of mood we're in. But if we've got a lot to talk about, me and Gav will both say to him, headline, just headline.
Yeah. Get to the point.
Get to the point. See, this chat, I was going to do a proper interview with you, because it's been so many years since I've actually interviewed you. I'd not forgotten your career, but I'd sort of forgotten the ins and the outs. So last night I did a bit of research on you, my friend. And I listened to some podcasts, and I watched some old interviews, and I was laughing quite a lot because you speak differently now to how you spoke 20 years ago. Do you know that? In what way?
No, I didn't know that.
I'll tell you what it was.
Trying to speak posh?
Yes, I think it was Roger Burnett's influence on you, and you were trying to speak more clearly. I watched about 3 interviews where you just didn't sound like Neil.
It's so bad because I went to elocution lessons because of Roger Burnett. It was horrendous. So imagine this. So it's 1993. It's my first year in Grand Prix racing 125s. I've only been racing on tarmac 3 years. And my dad got in touch with Roger Burnett. Would you give us some advice? Basically, at that point, Roger's like, yes, I'll manage you. And he said, his exact words were something like this, right? It's going to be really hard for me to find sponsorship for you, Neil, because you sound like a thick northerner. Cheers, Roger. Just tell it how it is, you know. So it's like, I'm like, basically, I'm like, I don't even know what you mean. It's like your accent's so rough and common. You've got to try and take that rough edge off it. Bear in mind, at this point, you'd do anything. Like literally, if someone said, "Oh, at night you've got to go out jogging naked. That'll help you." You'll do anything. So if I'm like, "Okay, I've got to get rid of my rough accent to get money to go racing," I'll get rid of my rough accent. So I went, "Well, what do I do?" He went, "Go to elocution lessons." I went, "All right, I don't know anything about it." So I got the yellow pages out, because obviously no internet back then. Yellow pages, elocution lessons. Bloody hell, there's one in Nelson, which is, I lived in Burnley. Nelson's like a town. I used to live in Nelson as well, but it's like a rough town. Sorry if you live in Nelson. It's even worse now. So anyway, Nelson, great. So I go to this woman's, yeah. Nelson's great, actually, if anyone wants to. So I go to this lady's house, knock on the door, little terraced house. Old woman answers the door. "Hello, I'm Neil." "Yeah, cool." It was something like £10 a lesson. And she went, "But I'll do you a discount if you book 5. I went, "Poof, deal." So £40 for 5 lessons, winning. So I sit down, and I'm slightly dyslexic, as you know.
Yeah.
So I can read and write, I'm okay, but I read slow. And I'm very uncomfortable reading in front of people. Then I go like, I can't read, because I'm nervous. So the first thing she does is give me a card. This is one of my stories, isn't it? I'm going off on a tangent. I'll do it as quick as I can. Sorry.
No, it's all right. You're okay.
She gives me a card, and it's got this poem on it. So she reads it, and she does it like the Queen. She sounds like the Queen, and I read it going, "E by gum, bloody hell, oh bloody hell." And so she's like, no, you need to change this and change that. So it was the most uncomfortable hour of my life. I was bright red. You know when you get them red blotches on your neck and all that lot? It was one of them situations because I'm reading to this old woman sounding like an absolute dick. So anyway, we finish it. I say, thank you very much because I'm all polite. I get in the car and I drive home and I go, I'm never doing that again. Even though I'd give her 40 quid. So she was up. Because I'd give her the money up front and it was like, oh. So anyway, I was obviously trying to change my accent. Oh, thanks, Rod. Thank you, Roger. Bear in mind, Roger Bennett was an amazing manager and helped me so much throughout my career. But he did two things that really was bad. One was trying to change my accent. The other one was moisturiser.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
Like, I promise you now, I'm straight, Suzi, aren't I? As in,
yeah.
As in, I'll tell you how it is. Like, I didn't even know what moisturiser was. I was like a 19-year-old lad from Burnley. I didn't know what moisturiser was. All I knew is my mum didn't even use it. Like, you know what I mean? We were just old school Northerners. And Roger Bennett went, Neil, I think we need you to get into some of these, like, let's try and breach out of the motorcycling industry and get you in some fashion magazines and all that lot. I've no idea what he's on about. I'm just like, is it going to help me? Will we get more money? You know, sort of thing. Yeah, Neil, I can get you in Cosmopolitan. Great, do whatever. I'm not bothered. Just tell me what I have to do. All right. Well, anyway, I got some sponsorship off Old Spice, and do you remember that?
Yeah.
They were like a personal sponsor. It was anyway. I eventually did this did this interview for Cosmopolitan, and they're going. It was like for moisturising. I didn't even know what the brand was, and I was going, yeah, well, I use it 3 times a day and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, the motorcycling industry picked up on it, like MCN, as you can imagine. MCN would come out with some really cruel lines, you know, and before you know it, guess what? I was bloody Mr. Moisturiser, you know. And I had the piss, in the macho motorcycling industry, I had the piss taken out of me constantly, and I didn't even use moisturiser. I do now, and I bloody need to. Look, I mean, bloody hell. No, but you know what I mean. I've gone off on a tangent.
Do you know what though, Neil? Isn't it interesting? I remember it well. I remember you felt like you had to defend yourself a lot, and it was a time where you're right. You didn't ever admit to doing anything like that. I mean, you got a lot of stick for having highlights in your hair and all that kind of stuff. You know, when we look back, we laugh at that now. But when you look at what goes on now with the regime for riders, it's completely different. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of riders in the paddock that have work done on their face. Some lots, some bits.
Dickie, come here. Suzi.
Yeah?
Dickie, come here, for God's sake.
What are you doing?
This is a big moment.
I'm shy.
Hang on.
This is a big moment.
Set this up? Do I need to set this up, this story?
Yeah, set it up.
Okay, right. For anybody that's a regular Breakfast Clubber, you'll remember the first time Neil came on was the first week that we started doing the Breakfast Club, when we weren't recording them or anything. And he popped on for 15 minutes. And he told you this story about something that happened last year. So last year during the off season, he rang me a couple of times from a pub, laughing, saying,
Leathered.
basically, totally leathered, beyond the sweet spot. My mate fancies you, and we laughed it off and everything. And then last year in Qatar, we are driving to the circuit as usual, gas driving. I'm shotgun, Neil's in the back, and we're chatting away. And Neil goes, "Oh, Suzi, I've got a gift for you from my friend. Do you remember Dickie?" And I was laughing. I said, "Yeah, I remember you telling me about Dickie." And he said, "Yeah, he's bought you these. What do you think?" And he got them out of his bag and passed them to me. And it was a packet of pork scratchings. Now, bear in mind, A, we're in Qatar and he's brought a packet of pork scratchings in, and B, I'm vegetarian. It was all quite amusing at the time. And so this whole myth of this Dickie character has gone on now for over 12 months.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask Neil where he is, because he looks like he's in a broom cupboard. Where are you?
I'm actually his paint shop, Anderson Body Care. Basically, he does a bit of work for NHS, so he's worked all the way through. But the last week, obviously since lockdown's eased a little bit, he's behind because like a couple of his staff have furloughed themselves. Right. So he said there's a few jobs I could do with a hand in. So I pop in occasionally because it's in the village where I live. So So that's it really, and that's why I've got team top on. But the main thing,
Right.
well, Dickie's nervous. I love it.
I feel like this is one of those moments where you swipe right.
Hello. First and foremost, I have got to apologise. Neil did not tell me you were a vegetarian. and in all fairness to me, how many meals have you been out with, Neil? How many times have you been out with Neil? Hundreds and hundreds of times, and he didn't know you were a vegetarian. That's really bad.
Doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't look at what I eat. You know, none of us have that sort of relationship. That's the thing. We're just frothing. No, because we're just all like family, aren't we? Really. So we don't look at the detail. I think we're so used to each other that we just whatever happens, and we don't judge anything or notice anything at the same time either. Anyway, hello, Dickie. It's nice to meet you. Do I call you Dickie or do I have to call you Richard?
Whatever you want to.
Suzi, what about Suzi?
Where's the music?
Oh, it's in there.
This is what's this, a momentous moment, isn't it? Meeting online like this on air. How modern it is.
But I've got to say, first and foremost as well, thank you very much for all that you're doing. All of you. It's really, really brilliant. It really is. We're keeping in touch with you from a general public perspective. It's fantastic. So thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I mean, it's great fun. It's lovely to know that people are well, first of all, watching and enjoying it. And every day we get these great messages from people that tell us their stories, their personal stories, and it makes me realise, you know, what it means to people. And also for me, it's great because I'm a nosy cow and I love chatting to people, and we never get this kind of time on air, and we never get this kind of time in life generally. So, you know, the last sort of 6-7 weeks we've been doing this, it's been really fun. I mean, it is a full-time job, it turns out, but no, really enjoyed it. So Neil, how long have you known Neil for, and what's your best Neil Hodgson story?
Oh wow. I've probably known Neil for 2 years now. Yeah, 2 years now. And best story. Well, have I got to big him up? Or...
No, you've got to be honest and tell us your funniest, most embarrassing story about him.
Oh, embarrassing.
Yeah.
I did let him loose once in the oven last week. And I thought because he is really, honestly, when I say this, it's really hard. This job is really hard. It's very skillful. And he went into the oven and he painted a job. I just let him carry on. I said, right, just fill your boots. Just do what I've taught you. Just do it. And he did. And it was lovely. And then we put it on to bake, because that's what you do. And then it bakes off all the paint. You demask it and bring it out. And I'm not joking, it was like the London Marathon. There were runs everywhere. It was awful. But up until that point, he was fantastic. And he's done a couple of more paint jobs since, and they've been spot on. So, yeah, definitely a top guy.
So have you taught him a new skill then?
Yes, 100%. I'd have him tomorrow.
You see, there's not many people that would say that about Neil Hodgson.
Yeah. No, I definitely would. I'd have him tomorrow. But I couldn't afford him, Suzi. I couldn't afford him.
Quite. You can just pay him in beer, though, and pork scratchings. So what have you been... Dickie, what have you... I don't know what to call you. It's just like... you've been a sort of mythical creature in my life for the last 18 months. And now here you are, and I feel like you have to do us like a swipe right. Is that what you do? I don't know.
Swipe right.
Swipe right. Ask him with Geordie Lodger, because he knows about online dating. So what have you been doing for the NHS?
Just vans. Obviously, they bumped them. So, and they've got to keep on the road. So that's what we've been doing. I'm a third party in this. A company that I do a lot of work for, they're a leasing company, and they lease the vans to the NHS. So when they get the bumped, they swap them over with a newer van while the other one's being repaired. But it's got to be a quick turnaround, so that's what we've been doing.
All right. Well done. A little clap from the Breakfast Club and all the Breakfast Club and everybody. Precious hearts for Dickie. Thank you very much, and thanks for popping on. I know you probably weren't expecting this. A lot of people saying that you look like Sean Bean.
Really?
You get that?
Yeah, I'm getting the vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's fantastic, and I can't wait to meet you soon.
Oh yeah. Well, let's do that when we can, when all this nonsense has stopped, and I'll come when I come back to the Midlands. We'll all hook up, and I'll have a packet of vegetarian scratchings, which I've been told that you can get because I was offered a packet after we told the last story.
I love it. Fantastic.
It's a good story. Thank you very much, and
lovely to chat with you.
You too. Take care, and you can pass the phone back to old moisturiser man now.
I will do. All right then. Look after yourself. And
you too.
Safe.
Take care, Dickie.
Because
I'm
so happy. He's sweating. He's just gone like this. He's gone. I'm sweating. Like you've got to understand. Like he fancies you so much and always has done. And he's like, when we became friends, he's like, I can't believe you work with Suzi Perry. I can't believe it. Like she's just amazing, isn't she? It's just so nice, isn't it? I love it. So
you like Cilla Black sitting there?
Yeah. I was going to say surprise, but yeah, it's blind date, isn't it?
It's blind date. It's a blind
date.
Anyway, now then, what I've got to do. Read this out. Hang on a second. Mrs. Stavros.
Yes.
So Michelle. She's saying, hi, Neil, great guy. Let me steal his Wi-Fi for many years when we lived above him on the Isle of Man. Oh, they used to stay at yours, didn't they?
No, they Steve lived in the apartment above, basically.
Oh, yeah, of course. They had the apartment, didn't they?
So, imagine having Steve Parrish living above you, though. Like, you're constantly nervous. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because he's the ultimate prankster. So you're constantly nervous going, something's going to go wrong. But, I give them my Wi-Fi code so they could just use my internet, and
Why did you do that? You let Steve use your internet. Can you imagine when he was waking up?
Oh, I love Michelle. She's such a nice person. I've not seen them for ages, actually. But he's so country, isn't he?
They're very well. Yeah, I mean they're really well. They were on here a couple of weeks ago, and he was obviously telling all these magnificent stories and giving us a tour around his house and outside. It was brilliant.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He is. I don't even, you know what? I don't even feel like it fits to go back through what I was going to do with you now. So let's just get rid of that and ask you some questions from the Breakfast Clubbers.
Yeah.
Right. So, Amanus says, would you like to have raced any other form of motorsport?
Well, I used to race motocross when I was a kid. So my dream was always to be a professional motocross rider and like race supercross in America. That would have been like the ultimate for me, because that was like I was a fanboy of that growing up. So I wasn't really that into racing on tarmac.
No, because you used to effectively motocross with John McGuinness, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we sort of started at similar times. I've been racing a few years before him, and then he started. So we all sort of knew each other. But we weren't like best mates or anything, but like you just knew everybody then, because it was like you'd go with your mum and dad on a Friday night in your van and caravan to a local event, park up, and all the lads would play on the BMXs because 12, 13 years old, and then you'd race all weekend. It was superb. They were the best times of my life, looking back. Yeah. You know what I mean? You think, what was the best? Winning the world championship or battling with Chris Walker at BSB? No, the best times were when I was schoolboy motocrossing. It was the ultimate, because you were there with your mates, there with your family.
Carefree, no pressure.
Exactly. My brother used to race as well, so yeah.
Your brother was good, wasn't he?
Yeah, really good. What's funny with my brother is, he was a slow learner, so I was fast straight away. It took him a while, but then he got good. We were at very similar speeds. If anything, he was slightly better at the point when he stopped, but he discovered beer and women. Like it happens to so many talented riders that I've raced against. He was 16 and decided he'd been out in Burnley, had a few nights out there, and thought, I'll have a bit more of this. This is what I'm talking about. I'd rather get leathered and get his leg over, which is fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that. Where if to do well in racing, you've got to be dedicated. So I didn't get my leg over for ages.
Well, so not everybody waits till they're 35 to discover beer and women, Neil.
You what, sorry?
Not everybody waits till they're 35 to discover beer
No,
and
but
women.
I just wanted to be, I wanted to dedicate all my time and effort to my racing and moisturising.
Yeah, more on the moisturising front. Steve Proctor wants to know, did you regret, in fact, can we just do a quick rundown of your career for anybody that doesn't know, because there's a lot of people on here that aren't even into motorsport, that watch this.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. So you had an amazing start to your career, I think it's fair to say, and you were kind of catapulted onto the world stage. You mentioned it earlier, 125 in effectively MotoGP paddock, and and then World Superbike, and then you sort of, you sort of lost your confidence, really, didn't you? Went back to British, then came back to the world stage, and then you went to America. So that's sort of how it went. And obviously within that was a British Championship and a World Championship and a sort of purple patch, really, from 2000 to 2003, wasn't it? Is that fair?
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly how it went.
Okay, so Steve Proctor wants to know, did you regret going to the AMA?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think the reason why I didn't regret it is you only live once. And you realise it even more so when you get to my age now, because obviously time goes bloody quick. So you look back at your career. But what I think, like, if I'd not gone to the AMA, I'd have missed out on such an incredible life experience. So I lived in Southern California for 5 years on and off. I'd come back to the Isle of Man all the time to see the kids.
Yeah.
I got divorced. But it was incredible. Like, I loved it. And if you think in your lifetime, if you could do something really nice for 5 years and earn money, because I was earning decent money, because you got paid well out there, which sets you up for the rest of your life as well. So add that into it. No, don't regret it. What I didn't realise, and what people don't realise, is when I went out there, I couldn't believe how fast the American riders were. Because when I went out there, I was fast. I was at the top of my game, and I thought I was going to win. But I got there, and I met Matt Mladen and Ben Spies, who were incredible. And I remember telling everybody, but nobody listened to me. I go, you can't believe how fast Ben Spies is. And imagine he was that fast that he comes to World Superbikes and wins his first year. He goes to tracks he's never seen before and destroys everybody. And Mladen was just as fast as him. Yeah. So they were very quick.
Yeah, they were incredible, weren't they?
But no regrets.
Am I making this up, or did you used to hang out with Robbie Williams quite a lot when you lived in California?
Yeah. I ended up, he was a fan, bizarre, things you'd ever think you'd say. But I'll tell the story really quick. Basically, someone got in touch with me and said, Robbie Williams is a fan. And you're like, oh, right. At the time, I'd won the World Championship. Oh, yeah, he watches you because one of his bodyguards into bikes, so they've ended up watching you all the time. Fast forward like 6 months, and Dougie Lampkin says to me, oh, we're going to go to a Robbie Williams concert in Barcelona. You fancy coming? I'm like, oh, yeah, that'd be brilliant. I went, oh, do you know what? I think he might be a bit of a fan of superbikes. So my ex-wife, Catherine, got in touch with the guy who told us. And to cut long story short, we got VIP tickets. Anyway, we were supposed to meet before the concert. We didn't do. So they said, oh, you can meet him afterwards. So we did like this weird follow me leader car to this hotel. We went in, sat at this table, and it was like the after party, really, where all the crew go. Anyway, we sat at this table, 4 of us, me, my wife, Dougie Lampkin and his wife, and in walks Robbie Williams. Obviously, I instantly shit my pants, because you're like, whoa, my God, it's Robbie Williams. He's well cool. Like, proper hero, isn't he? Like, Robbie Williams was so cool. Anyway, walks in, sees us, comes straight over. Oh, Neil, it's so nice to meet you and all that lot. He spent about 5 minutes talking to us and then walked over to the buffet, and I thought, oh, fair play, that was nice. Anyway, walks up to the buffet, comes back with a plate of food and sits at our table and talks to us all night. And then he said, I was then moving to America, and he literally said this, right? He said, I was going to America to look where to live, to find somewhere to rent. And he went, well, when you come over to America, just stay at mine. When you're coming over. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. What I'll do is I'll get a hotel, but we'll meet up. You know, that'd be brilliant. He went, no, stay at mine. Anyway, when we left, his bodyguard called me and said, whatever you do when you come over to, it was like the next month we were going to LA. He said, stay at ours. He really wants you to. He's lonely. He wants you to. All right. Okay. So imagine then that next month, flying to LA, getting a hire car, driving to this address, gated community. You know, you stop at the gate and you go, Robbie Williams. What's your name? Neil Hodgson. Yeah, call through. Yeah, no problem. It's the first house on the right. And then you drive onto his drive, knock on the door, and he stood there in some tracky bottoms, no shirt on. Oh, mate. Oh, it's so good you could come. And like spent the weekend there. It was just bizarre. It's just like so surreal. And then we became good friends because then I rented a place about 40 minutes away, and I used to go up on Wednesday nights playing five-a-side football with him.
Oh yeah, because he's a pretty good footballer, isn't he?
Really good footballer.
What a lovely story. And did you share moisturiser?
We shared all sorts.
Oh yeah.
No, nothing like that. No, he. Do you know what? What a really nice bloke. Like, it was really sound. My son a bit. Oh, don't say sound. It was just normal because we were exactly the same age. We talked about growing up, you know, 70s, you know, both born in 73, just with so much in common, you know, obviously not the singing side, but with so much in common. And he was just normal. And like, his mum came over and he's like, oh, can I come down to Laguna? Can I bring you down to Laguna Beach and show you your place? And like, yeah. So like he brings his mum down, and you know what I was like with my mum and dad, you know, how close, and he was the same with his, and it's just so nice, and it was just, we just got on. It was just easy, like mates. And after the first hour of being in his company, I didn't feel like I was with Rob. I wasn't with Robbie Williams. It was weird. It instantly turned normal. Yeah.
He's from Stoke, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's a really nice story. You made him sound like he's really nice. I've never met him.
Yeah.
Right, there you go, Steve Proctor. That was the answer to that. I came out with a lovely story, so thank you for that great question. Chris Hardesty, the best rider that you've ever raced against would be?
Tell you, Ben Spies blew me away. I saw Ben Spies do things on a motorcycle that shocked me, it scared me. I couldn't really do that. You know, I've got to say, Ben Spies just jumped. Like, bear in mind, I rode with Rossi, I rode with Doohan, and saw wonderful things. But I saw a lot. Ben Spies did lots of things that I thought, bloody hell, how is he doing that? You know, consistently.
Right, that's your answer for that one, Chris. Nene Bomb Bomb Cat is going back in time here. Does Flat Eric still live on, or did the ego get the better of him?
Flat Eric, you'll be pleased to hear, lives on. This is the bad news. Severe drug habit. He's been in rehab. He's back now. He's in the Isle of Man. He's in counselling, actually. But he's all right. He sleeps in the same bed as my son, which is worrying because, you know, he's a bad influence. But yeah, Flat Eric, the legend that is Flat Eric, lives on.
Excellent. Dominic Yellow, these are quite fast answers. Were you faster with frosted tips?
Definitely.
Will would like to know your favourite BT Sport presenter.
Well, it's obviously Gavin Emmett. Susie's like, no, it's not because Suzi, you know, we love each other, but me and Gav.
Until Matt Roberts comes on the scene, and then you get all arsey.
Don't mention that guy's name.
I'm telling you, when Matt Roberts is around and he comes to Austria to do the track commentary, oh, there's handbags, the toys out the pram. Gets very upset, does Neil?
What's funny is I really like Matt. He's great at his job, and I'd class him as a genuinely good friend.
He's brilliant.
But I'm genuinely jealous of their Gav and Matt's relationship because they obviously grew up together, but started in MotoGP together, didn't they? They started like with Dorna together. Yeah. So yeah, I'm jealous of their relationship. It's so funny. I'm pathetic.
Well, they lived together when they lived in situ.
They did what?
Together. Am I pushing it too far now?
Oh, that's in me.
You see, people think about our relationship as a group. They think it's different to how it is. You see what I have to put up with, everybody? This going on. Right, do you, well, this is obvious. Triggergram says, do you use more hair products than Suzi? Let me answer that. Yes, because I don't use it anymore.
No. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, definitely then.
Yeah, because you use a bit of gel, don't you, or wax or something?
Yeah, I think it's called clay. I think that's what they call people. A little bit of clay.
You see, you couldn't have said that 20 years ago, could you?
No.
It's bizarre. And Jan Bumpy, or Jan Bumpy, I think it is. Why did you use the number 100 when you went back to World Superbikes?
Good question. There's a few reasons. One was, I love Ben Bostrom had 3 digits. He was 155, and I thought, looks cool that. Then I thought, I might see if I can run 3 digits. There was an American motocross rider called Mike Brown, who was like really fast. He was number 100, and he just looked really good in his motocross bike. And I finished number 1 in the year 2000. So that's, 100. So all them, I thought, do you know what? It sounds well shit what I'm going to say. New me, I'm going to change my number. I'm coming out as number 100 and I'm going to be really fast. And it sort of worked. I was a head case when I raced. There was always something that I was always trying. If someone said, there's an ashtray, if someone said, rub fag ash in your elbow, it'll make you faster. I'll be rubbing a fag ash on my elbow. You know what I mean? You're just like, I was not weak would be the wrong word to use, but I was gullible and desperate. I just wanted to be fast.
But you're an interesting head case, if you like, if you look at the world of motorsport, because of your career, because of what you did. And it's incredible that you basically had your confidence shattered in World Superbike. You're on the world stage, you're the pin-up boy, you use moisturiser, you're the Ducati factory rider, then you get bumped and you go to Kawasaki, it all goes wrong, and you end up going back to Britain and starting again, effectively, and battling with really good riders, an incredible battle with Chris Walker, it was absolutely brilliant to watch. Winning in 2000, and then coming back, building yourself back up in World Superbikes and winning in 2003. And that is to be congratulated, to come from a life of leading up to being on the global stage, and a lot of kids would have thought, I've made it now, I've got it. And it went wrong, and you went back and started all over again and made it happen for yourself. I mean, that is something to be really proud of, isn't it?
Yeah, and I am. I am really proud. And it's funny, Keith Ewan says this, and he's so right. Keith says, look, I can diss my own career, but if someone disses it, I'm not happy. And I know what I did with my career. I know how hard I tried. Nobody could have tried any harder. They genuinely couldn't. Like I said, I'm going to rub cigarette ash on my elbow if I have to. I'll do whatever it will take. And I'm bloody proud of my career. I really am. Was it the best career in the world? No, it wasn't, but it was a bloody good career. Where I came from, what I achieved, yeah, I'm so proud of it. And like I say, if someone wants to disrespect it, there's a handful of people who could disrespect it and I'd allow it. But anyone else does, I'll be on them like a ton of bricks. You know what I mean? Valentino Rossi could disrespect my career, no problem. People who've had really much better careers than me could say something, let's say, snidey about my career. I'd take it on the chin. But if Joe Average on Twitter wants to go, who are you? You were shit. What did you ever win? I won a lot. I worked hard. I was fast. So, yeah.
Well, you're a British champion and a world champion. I don't know how anybody could diss that, but I know where you're coming from with that.
You know what? Yeah.
Your favourite race, though, actually, was when, I don't know if you still stand by this, was when you wildcarded in the World Superbike race at Donington. Is that still...
By miles, though. I've sort of said before, if there was a drug you could bottle, that feeling of winning as a wild card, because this was like the comeback, this was the real start of the comeback. The interesting part of that story was, the year before I was doing BSB, in 99, I was teammates with Troy Bayliss, and the team said, "Do you want to be a wild card?" And I said no, because I was like, I'm sort of not. I knew I wasn't ready.
Still fragile.
You know, too fragile still. My confidence was building, but I wasn't ready. Anyway, the following year in 2000, do you want to do a wild card? Yeah, I want to do a bloody wild card. My shirt was off already. You know, I'm like, bring it on. Bring it on. I'm ready now. I am ready. And I've said this before. I don't know if I've said it to you. In the practice sessions that weekend, it was the first time I'm racing against people that had bullied me on track, disrespected me, and thought I was shit. And I let it get to me, and I let it affect my confidence. And I worked my way down, you know, the downward spiral in confidence on track, and that affected my results. Anyway, I was back, and I felt like I was at the top. I felt strong. And I'd go out in the free practice sessions, and I was waiting for riders. And I'd be looking on my shoulder, waiting, and it'd be like, whoever, Zaus, or the worst was Gregory Lavia, because he took my Kawasaki ride off me. But he didn't, it weren't his fault. So I'd wait for him to pass me. I'd follow him for 3 or 4 corners. He'd be tipping into a corner, and I'd just let my brake off and just stuff him. And then I'd like give him a cheeky look, and then I'd just clear off because I was fast. I'd just then put my head down and just do 2 laps, destroy him, and come into the pits. Like, what a dick, you know what I mean? But it was like I had so much anger inside me, and I wanted to show everybody. So to win that race, again, I know I tell a long story, but to win that race, Suzi, I come across that line, and I do this, and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe what's just happened. Like, my mates were on the track at the first corner. There was a massive, because it was second race, track invasion. I was the hero that I always wanted to be. Unbelievable. Like, I'm like emotional even saying it.
Well, are you? That's interesting. Yeah. It was our first year on the BBC covering World Superbike, and obviously they'd taken it on because of Foggy, who crashed in Phillip Island, and you know they were kind of a bit like that at the time. So you doing that at Donington, it was amazing. But what's interesting hearing you talk is that whole chimp paradox thing, isn't it? It's that whole that sport is all about your head. We had Martin Brundle on a couple of days ago who spoke beautifully about the psychology of sport and motorsport in particular, and what you need and how you have to have that. He called it enough bastard in you to become a champion. And Mark Blundell said, you know, something about he wasn't selfish enough to become the champion that he'd gone in to be. And you know, you just talking about that kind of cockiness there. And being able to have that and direct it in the right way instead of the wrong way. I mean, it can just literally go 2 ways. It's really interesting, isn't it? And you're just a great model of seeing both happen, you know?
Yeah. And what's interesting about that is that anger inside and that burning desire can lead to you just tucking the front because you're trying so hard and it all falls away and you don't win as a wild card and you don't do, you know, it's so difficult. And I get asked all the time, hey, I bet you miss racing. And I always have the same answer, not one bit. And people look at me and they go, really? I bet you wish you're out there racing. No, I don't. Because I know how hard it is. I know the dedication. If you want to throw your hat in that ring, it's a life dedication.
Yeah.
You have to be obsessed. Because if you want to have a go at beating Marquez or any of the top riders, Johnny Ray, I manage Alex Lowe's, as you know. I've managed Alex Lowe's for 7 years. And I see the work and commitment Alex Lowe's puts in. I'm so proud to manage him because I couldn't ask any more of him. He couldn't be more professional. He couldn't be more dedicated. But that's what it takes. You know, racing's tough. I talk about it when I'm commentating, don't I, all the time, about the psychology. Yeah. Here's one for you. How can a rider that's done 100 Grand Prix, see what I did there?
Yeah.
100 Grand Prix, and have never won a race. They win their 100th race, and then they go and win the next one. Why is that? You haven't all of a sudden learned how to ride a motorcycle. You've not all of a sudden learned a skill, or you've not got more feel, or you've not got better tyres. It's all in your head. You've just unlocked something in your head that you couldn't unlock before, but now you've opened that door. More wins are coming.
And then it's easy. Then it seems easy. Then you're winning.
Yeah. How funny.
Yeah. That seems
psychology. It's 80% up there.
I love it. I love that side of sport. I love that side of life in general. But I think, you know, a lot of people are experiencing different parts of their own psychology at the moment because of what everybody's been through in the lockdown, and you know, having to try to see the good in things, and see the good in people, and see the good in situations, and, you know, kind of keep heading towards there instead of going the other way. And, you know, everybody managing things differently. So it's
totally. And do you know, a lot of it, like what you're talking about there, you know, just in normal life, a lot of it is your inner voice, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the sports psychology side of it is that inner confidence, but it's your inner voice. You shit, you can't win. He's better than you. You can't do that. You know, to try and get some control over that is so difficult. But that's in life in general, isn't it? That's what a lot of people, you know, beautiful. So it's not only sport. It's not only sport. It's just the mental side of life's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, it can be. Everybody has their off days and their dark days, and I always think, you know, that we're in control of our lives while we're breathing. We're in control of our lives because our breath controls us physically being alive. And sometimes I have to go back to that to move forward again. You know, it sounds a bit weird, but I think if you think about it, you'll know where I'm coming from there. In that you have to take responsibility for yourself and your thoughts, and it's your responsibility to try and, you know, drive it to the light and not the dark. And sometimes it's really difficult, and you need help around you, and that's where, you know, your friends are, isn't it? And
absolutely. And that I just saw someone commented you in the chimp paradox book. I got a lot from that.
Yeah.
That I can, you know, you read that book, and it that helps me in day-to-day life when I'm doing something and I think, hang on a minute, do I want to feel like this? This is my chimp, you know. And that might be a discussion with Victoria, my girlfriend. It might be when I'm driving my car. It might be in a business decision. You know, you've read an email, you're not happy with it, and your chimp starts to do the reply, and you just stand back, you know, you sit back and you think, just breathe a minute, hang on, this is your chimp. Your chimp just wrote this email, let's have a look. How is that going to come across here? Not very well. Let's start again. You know what I mean? So if no one's read that book, it's quite a good one. Yeah, I think it is.
For anybody that doesn't know, it's called The Chimp Paradox, and it's by Steve. Oh, his surname's just escaping me at the moment. Can you remember? Anyway, the Chimp Paradox. Have a look for it, and it helps you with everyday life. It helps me sometimes when I'm walking out onto a stage to present something or host something. You can be in a drunken room and it can feel a bit hostile, you know, and you've got to try and capture the room within the first minute, otherwise you haven't got them. And sometimes there's a part of me going, oh, they're drunk, they're not interested, they probably don't care, you know, it's going to be rowdy. And then I think, no, stop. Yeah. Don't walk on like that, because it will be like that. If you're looking for it, it will go wrong. You have to walk on like, I got this, you know, this is going to be fun, they're going to love it. And that bring that sort of positive vibe, that energy, whatever you want to call it, the good chimp. And it's true with absolutely everything, isn't it? I mean, you can't have a good day every day. It's not possible, and it's all right. Not everybody does, and it's good to recognise if you're having a bad day. Just tomorrow you've got a new day, and hopefully it'll be a better one. But
100%. It was, you know, Neil Mackenzie recommended the book.
Oh, did he?
We have had so much fun because of the chimp. Because, as you know, I'm very close to Taylor, Tyron, and Neil and Jan Mackenzie. The Mackenzie family are the nicest family in racing.
Yeah.
But the lads always take the mick out of Neil because of his chimp. Because they'll go, like, we've actually got a WhatsApp group called The Chimp. So they go, oh my God, like, the chimp was out today. And I'll go, why, what was he doing? And they go, oh, right, well, it was out on his lawnmower, and something happened and his chimp came out. Or everything's about the chimp. And when we go riding, because they've got a small field at the back of their house, and they've got like a little track where you ride the small bikes around, and you've got road tyres on them, so you're practicing sliding and all that lot. And we'll do little races and have a little bit of fun. But occasionally, Neil's chimp will come out, or my chimp will come out, and you'll go, oh my God, I was pulling a move on you. I was about to ram you, and I realised it wasn't me, it was the chimp. So it becomes an excuse for doing stupid things, going, mind the chimp.
You better look out for the family of chimps. You know what happened to you when you were testing the Kawasaki?
They scared me, they did. They bloody see that. Still a bit worried about them. They're looking for me.
the apes. I bet that's your worst nightmare, isn't it?
Oh God, I'm not good with big monkeys. I like monkeys, but they scare me. The big ones do.
You're so funny. Listen, it's Steve Peters, by the way, for anybody that wants to have a look at that book. That's his name. And Neil, bless you, because last night what Neil and I do, I don't know. You're still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so sorry about that. Neil said, who was that calling?
I think it's McGuinness.
John McGuinness.
I think so.
What's he do? He must know we're on air.
So.
So Neil said to me, what? Oh yeah, I can't remember. It's on. What is it on? Instagram. And then he said, is it 5 minutes? I went, it's a bit longer than 5 minutes these days, because it's sort of developed into this whole chat show, and you've given us an hour and a half of your time. You have set me up on a blind date, so well done for that. But thank you. It's been really nice to chat with you, sort of almost properly. I know it's been a laugh and everything, but just to chat a bit about your careers, interesting as well. And so thanks for your time. And I better let you go, otherwise you'll get fired.
I'm going to get the sack, and I've only been here really a week. I know. So what I like about Friday though, we finish at like, what time is it now? Oh, I'm on to such a winner. We'll finish at 4:30, so we can have some cans. It's like we sound like proper old school. Some cans.
I don't think Taylor would let you say that.
No. Hey Suzi, honestly, it's a pleasure talking to you, and I miss you, and we all miss you. But we'll see you soon anyway. So we're so lucky, aren't we? We are so bloody lucky.
We are, because I feel lucky, not just because of the job, because it's amazing, but because of our racing family, because we are all family, and you know, it's good that we're all kind of there, aren't we, behind the scenes, supporting each other, because you know, we all have shit things happen sometimes to us as well, and go on air and have to be all, you know, we all got this invisible network around us, which is really fantastic. So
yeah, it works well, doesn't it? We're a good team. I don't mean that in a patting ourselves on the back. I mean, we're a good team, as in we're a good unit together. We're strong. I'm getting cheesy now. Love you guys.
It's not crying. Hey, look, have a great weekend.
Just the glasses. These are Dickies glasses.
What are you doing with the glasses?
No, they're Dickies. Do I suit them? No.
Okay. Listen, I think...
You look like Dennis Pennis.
You look like Dennis Pennis, according to the Geordie Lodger. Neil, you're a champion on and off the track. You do look like Dennis Pennis in them glasses, actually, on Afterlife, because he's on Afterlife.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Have you seen that, Neil?
Yeah, brilliant.
Did you cry?
Oh my God, I couldn't stop. Oh,
brilliant,
God.
Isn't it?
I'm like, my eyes are sweating. I'm like, you know, like blokes sit there. I'm like this, trying not to cry, so I'm just blinking like that, flat out, just like. Have you seen Derek though? I love Derek.
Derek. Oh, Derek.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen that.
Ricky Gervais. Like the first episode of Derek, I think there's been 3 series. The very first episode, I'm like, it's just a bit cheesy. It's a bit shit, really. You know, I'm not too sure. But then you fall in love with this character, Derek, who's a bit simple, but he's just amazing. And I've cried so many times watching Derek, because it's similar. It's funny, but really touching. Derek's amazing.
Okay.
Love Derek.
I might give that
Watch Derek. Yeah.
Watch. Okay. All these tips.
Has Geordie Lodger seen Derek?
No, I haven't yet. Not yet.
Do you know what? Me and the Geordie Lodger have not watched one bit of television during lockdown. Not one thing.
Not one thing.
Oh, right. Good hell.
You're working.
Because we've been busy. We've been busy
Oh.
working. He's got his own company, so he's been busy doing that. And I've just been doing stuff, and you know, I've been outside a lot. I love it. I love being outside.
Oh, that's good.
Anyway, have a great weekend. Lots of Dickie. Enjoy your cans later. We'll all raise a can to you and Dickie.
All right.
Okay. Hopefully see you soon. Fingers crossed.
Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Oh, listen. I'll see you tomorrow, because we're rehearsing. So
my
technology works. I'll see you. And Sunday, obviously, be remiss to not say we've got a greatest years show, and we're looking back at 2013 this week.
Interesting year as well, isn't it? Obviously, Marcus's first title as a rookie, but it's a great story. So I'm looking forward to getting my teeth stuck into that one. Yeah,
there's some good stories. We've got an interview with Valentino Rossi, and it's the penultimate show, actually, because the show next weekend is our last greatest years show, so don't miss it. Anyway, for today, thank you. We love you.
Okay, love you. Ciao, ciao. I get back to work.
Bye. Yeah, get back to work.
Take care.
I'm still not quite sure what Dickie does with his paint spray thing, but
I'll show you. I'll show you later. Bye.
Oh, okay. You didn't realise you were still there. Love it. Right, take care, everybody. I've got to post this because I'm scared it's all going to go wrong and someone's going to call, and then in the ether will be the 90-minute lovely, glorious chat with the wonderful Neil Hodgson, a world champion on the track and a world champion off the track as well. Hope you enjoyed it. Lots of love to you, and we hope that we are still managing to lighten your lockdown. Big kiss. We'll be back next week with, I'm just trying to think. Sam Lowe's, I think, is doing Wednesday. Chrissy from the Shires, I hope, is doing Friday. And Thursday is a mystery guest.